Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Driven Wyld. Today we are talking about millions of gig workers could qualify as employees under new Biden era rules. So it's no surprise to anybody who's been a gig worker for any extended period of time that Biden has been looking to attack the gig economy for a long period of time, and finally something came through. And of course, it's headline news today. So with that said, I want to go over everything that is being said in this article, how it actually is for Doordash, UberEats, and Grubhub drivers, as well as other people in the gig economy and everything in between. So with that said, let's get started. Millions of gig workers, janitors, home care workers, construction workers, and truckers could be considered employees rather than independent contractors under a final rule announced Tuesday by the Labor Department. The rule effectively expands the reach of the federal labor laws that require employers to extend certain benefits and protections to workers classified as employees. Those include the right to the minimum wage, overtime pay, unemployment insurance, and Social Security benefits, which employers are not required to provide to independent contractors. Truckers and gig workers, those two people are going to be hit the hardest, in my opinion. I can't speak for construction workers. My expertise is very limited in that area. Home care workers, janitors, same gist. But how do you put all 5 of those categories into the same bucket? Like, they're so completely different opportunities that you can't even say it's because they're an independent contractor. Construction worker, maybe you do need some things like overtime pay, unemployment insurance, and Social Security benefits. Janitors, home care workers, some of those people should already have those benefits. I'm surprised that they don't. Well, I can't speak for truckers, but I could say with gig workers, a lot of us said we don't want those kind of benefits if it's gonna cost us our freedom in order to actually get those things. Because Biden isn't looking to help people, they're looking to destroy the gig economy as a whole. The rule will help create a level playing field for businesses, protect workers from being denied the right to fair pay, and affirm the vital role true independent contractors play in our economy by allowing them to thrive, Acting Labor Secretary Julie Su told reporters on a call Monday. True independent contractors. What does that mean? Like, can we talk about that? Honestly, this seems like it's just a straight attack. Anybody's desire to be free in this country. Seriously. Do we wish that base pay was higher? Yes, but you guys keep trying to put us in the bucket of employees, which is exactly what we don't want. Stop trying to fix the problem by breaking it more. Rules to be published Wednesday, and it would take effect on March 11th, officials said. So it's not even published yet. And it's not going to be active until 60 days later, which makes way too much sense. Backed by labor advocates, the rule is expected to face an onslaught of legal challenges from companies. It has faced extensive criticism from businesses and industry groups, including those representing Uber, Lyft, Doordash, and other rideshare and delivery platforms. But labor officials say they have carefully considered the possible litigation and are confident that the rule would withstand a court challenge. So they're trying to ruin the gig economy for the country by destroying the only way for a lot of people to make extra money in this economy. That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Like, way to try to self-destruct the entire country like that. The rule revives an Obama-era test for determining whether a worker is an employee or an independent contractor who is self-employed under the Fair Labor Standards Act of 1938. The review considers 6 factors, including how much control an employer has over the working conditions, a worker's financial investment in their job, and any opportunities a worker has for turning a profit. I feel like they're trying to just show just enough information to build their own case, even though in practice it's probably going to destroy us. Like an independent contractor, no one is telling us to take orders. No one has control over the working conditions in the area. Maybe Doordash and UberEats have the ability to send us orders or not, but there are other gigs to do in the meantime anyway. January specifically, a lot of gig workers are not going to see as many orders because people are saving for tax season because they got to pay their taxes, or they were just spending so much during Christmas, so they're cutting back now. That's not the fault of the companies. That's the fault of the economy at the moment. Now, can you also argue even during busy times, DoorDash and Uber Eats is already known to throttle you? Yes, but every company does that. Doesn't matter what industry you're in or whether you're an employee, an independent contractor, or even just a customer, every company plays these silly games. They're just trying to destroy what makes us happy just by getting their grubby little mitts in there. The new rule rescinds a Trump-era rule from 2021 that makes it easier for employers to classify workers as independent contractors, marking one of the most expansive regulatory actions taken by the Biden Labor Department so far. The measure is a win for Sue, who has faced an uphill battle in securing confirmation in the Senate. Industry groups have fiercely opposed her, especially her position about who qualifies as an independent contractor. In California, where she served as labor commissioner, she oversaw changes making it harder to classify workers as independent contractors. In California, there's also Prop 22, and some people actually like it that way. Whereas the large majority of the gig economy would hate this for themselves. For example, in New York, a lot of people are complaining about the new rule over there where people get $29.93 an hour for active time, and because of that, DoorDash and Uber Eats rescinded the pre-tip rules and in reality ended up costing drivers more money than it was worth. The Biden administration launched a second attempt to nominate Sue as labor secretary on Monday, though her path forward remains uncertain. I'll tell you what, if this is what your moves are, I wouldn't vote for you. When the Biden administration first announced the rule in 2022, Uber and Lyft's market values fell on investor fears that higher labor costs would eat into company profits. In a statement, C.R. Wooters, head of federal affairs at Uber, said the new rule would not impact the classification of the more than 1 million Americans who drive for the company. Okay, so let's be clear. They are saying nothing is changing. Will nothing change? I don't know. That can change because Biden is naturally attacking the gig economy, but I wouldn't be surprised if something happened to gig workers on the platforms eventually. Will this only hurt the people who are abusing the independent contractor system to misclassify employees in other areas? Maybe. I really hope that. As an independent contractor for a bunch of these companies, I don't want to be classified as an employee for any one of them. But let's say the janitor or the home care worker that is being considered an independent contractor has employee expectations, right? That person should be considered an employee because the expectations are that of an employee. Like, you're expected to be here at a certain amount of hours, you have no control of your schedule, etc., etc. That's an employee. You can't call that an independent contractor. Flip that. What if you were an independent contractor who has full control of their schedule, full control of their overall freedom, similar to that of DoorDash, UberEats, and Grubhub, except on your own terms, and then this was imposed upon you? Would you want that? I would say no. Drivers across the country have made it overwhelmingly clear in the comments on this rule and in survey after survey that they do not want to lose the unique independence they enjoy, Wooters says. As this rule is implemented, we look forward to working with the Biden administration and making sure they continue to hear directly from drivers. I feel like those screams are going to fall on dead ears at this point because they're not listening to the people. They never have and they never will. Lyft said in a statement that is expected no immediate impact on its business and also highlighted surveys finding the majority of its drivers work on the platform because the flexibility and independence it provides. DoorDash is also saying there's no immediate change as well, but it's good to see that even if this does go into effect, it's not going to affect gig workers. Jessica Luman, the Department of Labor's administrator of the Wage and Hour Division, told reporters that the division, which enforces the independent contractor rule, would focus on protecting the most vulnerable essential workers. That is such a broad statement. You could say that on independent contractors, employees. One of the biggest changes from the Trump administration's rule has to do with the factors that get priority in determining a worker's status. Under the 2021 rule, two factors mattered the most: how much control a company has over its workers and how much entrepreneurial opportunity factored into the job. First off, before I even go into this, I am not in support or against Trump in any way. I am rather indifferent on the subject, but I do want to talk about this rule specifically. It's not about Trump, it's about the rule specifically. How much control a company has over its workers. You can argue the deactivation side of things. You can argue the order flow throttling. You can argue how many people have the ability to sign on and off on a first come, first served basis during times of the night where people shouldn't even be awake at a lot of times. But at the end of the day, how much control does DoorDash have over us? Enough to enforce their own platform, but not enough to overlord us into doing things that they don't want to do. Yes, they want to have us having a higher acceptance rate and certain things like that. But at the end of the day, no one's telling us we have to take orders. You accept or decline. You see a no-tip order, you say no. No tip, no trip, or top dasher. That's all your decision at the end of the day. And how much entrepreneurial opportunity factored into the job? This is exactly why I tell you guys, diversify your gig portfolio. Develop an exit strategy. The gig economy is an income bridge to what would be a long-term goal. It's not the goal. The gig economy is an entrepreneurial opportunity. You can use the money you are gaining as an independent contractor to either start your own business, to achieve whatever goals you're looking to achieve. You could have such a diverse gig portfolio that no one app has any control over you, because if DoorDash doesn't want to feed you, you got Uber. If Uber doesn't want to feed you, you got Grubhub. Grubhub, no, Instacart. Then you got Deliver, Bolt deliveries, Food Fetched. That's all just catering and food delivery, grocery delivery, package delivery. How long can we go on before it's clear enough that there is a lot of entrepreneurial opportunity? You just gotta look for it.
Joe, that's not available in every market. Some places are so dominated by DoorDash that there is no other gig available.
Well, number one, you may not be looking hard enough, which is another problem in itself, and I'm not gonna make that a personal attack, but there's also the point of some markets are more viable for courier work than others. It's location, location, location. Everything is going to be market dependent. But what's good in my market is not going to be good for everything else. Maybe the people in California love Prop 22. Maybe they prefer it wasn't in Prop 22. Maybe there are some people that love the new rule in New York where the large majority of people do not. And maybe the way things work down here in South Florida is not going to work in Texas, or it's not going to work in Nevada or Washington or Milwaukee or Illinois or wherever. But it still goes to show you do have a certain amount of entrepreneurial opportunity. Could things be better in some areas than others? Yes. But I also think that this needs to be looked at on a state-by-state level. And if things are really working out well in Florida or in New York or in California, you need to make adjustments based on location, not based on some federal rule from a president that cares more about the image of pretending that they're doing something for the independent contractors of America, not by actually helping them. Because if they were actually helping them, they would actually look at the base pay models and they would look at the problems as a whole that we have and help us with those individual problems, not just try to attack the overall classification of gig workers by making us employees. The Biden administration called the way of looking at workers not consistent with the law and long-standing judicial precedent and restored the Obama-era rule in effect. The new rule will make it easier for a wider range of workers to gain employee status, including nail salon technicians, landscaping workers, home health aides, retail workers, call center workers, and security guards. Let's talk about that wider range based on the specific examples. Whether it's affecting food delivery is a different conversation. Let's talk about these individual areas. Nail salon technicians, landscaping workers, home health aides, retail workers, call center workers, and security guards. First off, I was under the impression that the security guards need to be in a location for however long as possible. They're supposed to be employees, right? Nail salon technicians, if their pay model, and I don't know if this is factually accurate, if their pay model is they get paid for every person person's nails that they fix or do whatever they gotta do, pedicures, manicures, etc. And they are the ones making money from that, from tips and the overall work that they're doing. That is as close to being a part of the business as possible without being the person building the business. If they're not getting enough people in the door, it's an economic issue. Maybe the person is not building the business as effectively as they should be. The person who's actually running the nail salon as a whole. Or maybe they need to start looking for freelance work outside of the salon that they're working on. But that's my opinion. Landscaping workers. I feel like a lot of the landscaping workers that are really underpaid are off the books anyways, and would actually lead to immigration issues, but I'm not getting into that. Home health aides. I don't know if that's actually going to be good for them, because if they are paid per stop, right? Like my grandfather is going to get a home health aide at this point. He's at the point of his life where he needs that. And they're paid per individual stop. Wouldn't that mean that they're making a butt ton of money with that alone? Because home health aides are not cheap. Retail workers, how are retail workers not employees? Like, how did we get there? If you're working in retail and you're a 1099 independent contractor, you gotta explain to me how that's the case. Like, I think that's where we're starting to go like, all right, you're misclassified. This is not okay. Call center workers, what are you paid for as a call center? You paid per hour? If you are paid per hour and you're an independent contractor, you should be an employee. Because the mentality of an independent contractor and the mentality of a employee is rather definitive. If you're paid for the work you do, you should be an independent contractor. If you're paid as somebody who is paid per hour, you should be an employee. And if there is no actual difference between the two, and if you are not paid enough to be a call center worker, I just feel like the line should be obvious. Retail workers, call center workers, and security guards are the only ones here to where I'm like, yeah, maybe we need to reevaluate this, because the other ones not only have skills that are helpful for the individuals at hand, but I think can actually make good money per manicure and pedicure, per lawn that you mow or whatever, and per stop that you make to individuals that need your aid, because that's what independent contractors are in my eyes. Labor advocates say this change will make a substantial difference in pay and benefits. A 2023 analysis by the Economic Policy Institute, a nonprofit think tank, found a typical construction worker classified as an independent contractor earns $16,700 less a year in income and benefits than they would as an employee, while a typical home health aide took home $9,500 less in income and benefits. But those people also, I believe, are going to say the same things like, you can't put a price on the freedom you have being an independent contractor. Now, that also said, if you're a construction worker putting in more work as a independent contractor than an employee, and that's how much you're making less in comparison, then you probably should be an employee. And the home health aide making that much less in income and benefits, again, we got to talk about your income structure. Maybe that needs to be reevaluated. Labor experts say independent contractors have occupied a greater share of the economy since the 2000s with the rise of app-based work on gig platforms such as Uber and Lyft. A 2021 survey from Pew Research Center found that 16% of Americans had earned an income at some point from an online gig platform such as ride-hailing apps or services that deliver food or groceries. And looking deeper, it's 16% of American adults under 30. Now, what they don't say is how many people were actually surveyed and where they actually went for these surveys, but nevertheless, that's a lot more than I thought. But the problem is when the concept of an independent contractor is abused, because then it affects us. Just like how people are asking for tips as landlords and self-serve kiosks, gas pumps, that's affecting us at the end of the day. The way other people are abusing these things affect gig workers. And now Biden is trying to change the wrong problem, at least in my opinion. This is my opinion. It's worth what you pay for it. None of you pay me. There you go. According to Doordash and UberEats, this is not going to change us as independent contractors. Could that change? Yes. Could they still fight this at the end of the day in the 60 days they have to do it? Sure. Should we become employees? I would say no, personally. I know that there are others that would feel as if we do or should. That's not the kind of life I want to live anymore. I became an independent contractor as a DoorDash driver in 2018, and that has changed my life for the better ever since. Not only financially, being that this is probably one of the greater opportunities where I've earned the most money in comparison to anything else. I feel a lot more confident in myself on a more self-improvement level. I learned skills that I wouldn't have otherwise. I've learned to set boundaries for myself. You can't put a price on that. All in all, I really hope that this doesn't change us into employees, because being an independent contractor has been probably one of the greater things in my life, let alone the entrepreneurial journey that I'm currently on with this channel. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. As always, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.